The oldest emotion of mankind is fear. And the oldest fear of mankind is the fear of the unknown. H.P. Lovecraft. Good quote, but you're probably wondering why the fuck is this man talking about H.P. Lovecraft on what is usually manga, video games, and the like. There's a lot of people that are inspired by H.P. Lovecraft. Namely, one, Junji Ito. If you've ever read H.P. Lovecraft and then you read Junji Ito, pretty clear what some of his inspiration is. It's like H.P. Lovecraft, but minus a lot of the racism. So, you're probably wondering, why the fuck am I talking about H.P. Lovecraft? Well, it's because in all my time collecting and reading manga, I did not think anyone was going to adapt any of H.P. Lovecraft's works. I didn't think that Lovecraft was going to be adapted into a manga. But some mad lads did that, because a few years ago, while I was just browsing the stores, I think it might have been Books A Million, I can't really remember. I was looking through, and then I saw it, and I was like, am I reading this right? Is this what I think it says? And it was. It was At the Mountain of Madness by H.P. Lovecraft, adapted. And I was like, oh shit, well, I'm going to pick this up, why not? And then I got the second volume, and I say I got the second volume, and you're probably thinking, this can't be real, but it is. These two volumes are manga. It is the adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft's At the Mountains of Madness, which is a story that he wrote. One of the many short stories that he wrote. It's, I think you could probably read it within, like, maybe, depending on how fast you read, I think it's, like, maybe 4 hours. I'm not 100% sure on that point. Maybe 2 hours that you can read it in. It's not, like, an extensive story, but it is an interesting one, and I think one of the least racist? Maybe. Probably not, because all the characters are white from Rhode Island and are all men that have no problems whatsoever. And, well, H.P. Lovecraft had a lot of problems. Let's just get that out of the way. But that's the main thing. This is actually very good. I think it was extremely good, because I mean, I liked H.P. Lovecraft, not for his views on the world, definitely not. That man had a lot of problems. Like, he was racist for 1920s. Like, he was so racist that other people that were usually racist back in that time were like, whoa man, calm down, just take a step back and just calm the fuck down. And he had a lot of problems with many things and many people that weren't from Rhode Island or that weren't white. So, yeah. But, all in all, this is pretty good. Like, the art adaptation, I do like the cover of it. I can't see it. Like, yeah. The covers of them are pretty cool. It's sort of like a mosaic of what's happening in it. And the artwork is what I would describe as a little bit more realistic, and just has a lot of different sort of feel to it. I mean, the whole story takes place in Antarctica with this expedition crew that, you know, back during that time was exploring Antarctica, getting a more of a lay of the land type deal. And H.P. Lovecraft around that time saw that there were expeditions and was like, what if they found some weird shit there? Like, what if we weren't the first people that were on Earth and all that? There's a lot going on. He created the Cthulhu mythos, if you want to look into that. One of the Cthulhu gods. Probably don't read out loud. Also, never look up what his cat's name is. So, But the whole entire expedition goes to Antarctica. They find this abandoned city, and then they find out that it wasn't so much abandoned, but it has weird monsters in it. And I will say that it's not that creepy nowadays. I bet back in the 1920s, whenever the original story came out, 1920s, 1930s, probably ridiculous scary to some people. And it's more or less just not that creepy. I will say that the aspects of it are kind of creepy, and also thought process is that you don't really know what's happening outside of the world that we live in. Like, any of this shit could be real, but probably not. It's one of those situations where you look at it and be like, yeah, that's cool. I do like the horror aspects of it more than jump scares. Like, jump scares in modern media are just played out, and it doesn't really terrify me. You're just, shock, scared type deal. But the slow psychological horror, the slow madness that most H.P. Lovecraft stories take place, like, the unreliable narrator is great. You don't know if what they're saying is true, and if it is true, dear God, what's going to happen. So, all in all, I do like H.P. Lovecraft's works. I just don't like the amount of racism in it. It makes me feel bad for reading it. Like, am I supposed to enjoy this? I mean, he keeps on saying the N-word. I mean, that was a thing back then, but it just feels weird. It didn't age well. So, most adaptations nowadays try to cut back as much racism as there is, because, you know, it's very interesting stories, and definitely a cool sort of look at the past and how the different like stories are told and all that. I mean, the art in these adaptations by Go Tanabe, I think that's how you pronounce his name, are awesome. Like, look at this shit. Look at this shit. This is awesome. And it's a really good adaptation because, one, it is weird, and it's mostly like a history type deal of what these weird alien creatures did, and them trying to piece together what happened at this old city. I mean, look at this. The creatures are weird and don't look anything like humanoid at all, and I like that. Sometimes I feel like we have this weird human-centric type deal, like the aliens out there are going to look exactly like us, and they probably won't. And it's so cool because I like it. Oh yeah, there's also a few colored pages in these. Like, it's so good. Like, so really good. Like, I would just recommend this on the art, and at the very least, like, the story's decent. Like, it's not going to blow your mind away. And it's only 2 volumes. Like, and granted, both of them cost like $20, but very solid, very good. And oh yeah, I forgot about this. Apparently, the artist was nominated for an Eisner Award. It's just cool. So, oh yeah, apparently there are. I never really read that part where the Hound and other stories. Cool. I think maybe this dude has adapted other H.P. Lovecraft stories. I haven't seen any of them, so I don't think they're that crazy. I just saw that randomly at a Books A Million, and I was just like, I'm going to buy this, because why not? I was really into H.P. Lovecraft when I first started reading about H.P. Lovecraft. I was like, oh, this is cool. So yeah. Again, we'll say, if you're going to read anything else by H.P. Lovecraft, be warned. He's ridiculously racist. I'm not going to lie. He is so racist. Don't ever look up what his cat's name is. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. I would mostly get these books just in case you want to look at the art, because the art is fan-fucking-tastic, and the concepts behind the story are fascinating. The story itself won't be crazy and blow you away. It is, at this point, probably 100 years old and will definitely show its age. But the concepts behind the whole slow burning horror that will eventually lead up to some sort of climax, but isn't really a climax. Like, there's no clean-cut resolution. There is an ending, but it's not really satisfying for the people involved, which is kind of cool. And also, you don't know how they are going to go back to their regular lives because of the knowledge that they have, the corruption of their brains from how much knowledge that they have, as they may eventually go insane, as they're in this story trying to make sure people don't go back to Antarctica because they don't want those things that they might have unleashed onto the world. But it is what it is. Like, trying to think about it, I do enjoy stories like that. Like, I really enjoyed Uzumaki. I talked about it last year for Halloween because of the fact that when you read Uzumaki, you're just like unsettled by the art, but at the end of the day, you're just like trying to hope that they get out. But in actuality, they probably never will, especially if you've read H.P. Lovecraft and you're like, oh man, he was inspired by Lovecraft here, and those people aren't making it. They're definitely under the adage of no one makes it out alive. And it's so cool. I wish more horror nowadays were under that philosophy, other than the philosophy nowadays where it's like, blah, jump scare, and then go from there. So, yeah. I would say if you are at the very least interested in H.P. Lovecraft and you have $40 to spend on it, you may be able to find it. I don't know. I haven't gone out and looked for it because I own them. I may try to find the other apparently adaptations that they've done. And yeah, I would say go ahead and read it. Again, not for everyone. I wholeheartedly understand that and know that, but God, is the art cool. Just look at that. Look at that art. Weird alien thing. Yeah. I would think other inspirations that this has probably gotten from, like, people have drawn from, sort of like The Thing, where they're in a research facility in Antarctica, and there's this thing hunting them, though, and it's only for, like, the first part. There's definitely a, when they meet, they find the ruined, research facility of another group. Like, I don't know the best way to explain it, because it's a very short story, so the more I give, the less that it will be shocking, though. It's not, if you read an H.P. Lovecraft story, you'll know how it ends. Like, you're not going to be surprised by anything, but yeah, definitely would recommend if you're looking for a short little story for the All Hallows Eve, and that has pretty good art and is oh man, like, look at that's a pretty good face. It doesn't look too weird. It definitely has a more realistic type feel to the art, and will be I don't know, like, it's great. I like it, and I would recommend people read it if they want. It is also published by Dark Horse, so you might have trouble finding it, because Dark Horse has problems when it comes to manga or just printing more. It is what it is. So hopefully you enjoyed my rambling. I understand that it is what it is. I would recommend it for people that just want to get into H.P. Lovecraft with as little racism as possible. Yeah. I may do a video on him, H.P. Lovecraft, and his whole deal, but I don't know. The overly sarcastic production did one that I think pretty much sums up H.P. Lovecraft in like 30 minutes if you're interested. But yeah, and that's it. I just wanted to talk about this manga that I randomly found that was an adaptation. So yeah. go buy it if you want. Go read it if you want. You can find most of the stories on Horror Babble, where this British dude reads them. Yeah, that's it. I don't know what else to say. Yeah. I will say, if you are planning on going out for Halloween, be safe out there. The temperature dropped everywhere, so be safe, be warm. If you don't, curl up in your bed and read some manga. I say, whum. Well, that's it. But gonna get up now. Oh God. Bye.